Prophecies for 2025. 2025 will be full of challenges and opportunities for the nations, but God's purpose for His church will stand. Some known ministers' foolish choices and activities will expose them to controversies in 2025.
Robert Morris, the founding pastor of Gateway Church in South Lake, as you see, being led away here in handcuffs, headed to jail after pleading guilty in his Oklahoma child sex abuse criminal case.
He will have to register as a sex offender as part of this. We have been covering this criminal case since March, when Morris was indicted on 5 counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child for molesting a young girl here in Oklahoma 4 decades ago.
David Taylor and Michelle Brannon, 2 self-proclaimed religious leaders arrested last week. They're accused of operating a forced labor network under the guise of their church and operating call centers, one of which was inside a home in an affluent Tampa neighborhood.
Israel will begin entering a certain measure of rest in 2025. Her mortal enemies will be temporarily weakened, but will hibernate for a period to continue the nefarious plans against the Jewish state. Let's pray against internal division within the nation.
After relaunching a punishing military offensive in Gaza, today Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu claimed a victory over Hamas, saying Israel confirmed it killed the group's latest leader, Mohammed Sinwar. He was killed, Israel says, in an airstrike on a hospital. Mohammed Sinwar took over Hamas's leadership from his brother Yehya, whose earlier assassination by Israeli forces was captured on video.
In breaking news, Israel's military claims it's killed Hezbollah's chief of staff in Beirut. It's the first time the IDF has attacked Lebanon's capital since June. An Israeli government spokesperson says Israel reserves the right to strike Lebanon if Hezbollah attempts to rearm.
Israel's military claims it has killed a senior Hamas leader in a strike on Gaza City. The attack targeted Raed Saeed, a high-profile Hamas figure who's been described as one of the architects of the October 7 attack. The strike hit a car, injuring 25 people and killing 4 others.
There'll be a substantial realignment of nations in the Middle East in 2025, but Israel will emerge stronger.
It was a moment to bask in the glory, absorbing the adoration of world leaders. Donald Trump has delivered a ceasefire in Gaza, and they signed a deal to confirm it. He says it's an historic moment which could have lasting consequences.
Under the shadow of the past 2 years, amid the rubble of their homes, Gazans celebrated today. Emotions buried since this war began, re-emerging in hearts and faces. Across the border in Tel Aviv's Hostages Square, a stunned relief cloaked in joy. For 2 years, they've demanded their leader make a deal to free the hostages held by Hamas.
President Trump addressing his decision to strike 3 of Iran's nuclear sites to prevent the country from building a nuclear bomb. He says Iran has repeatedly threatened to destroy Israel and says the U.S. completely obliterated its key nuclear enrichment centers, including the heavily fortified Fordow.
The global economy will be in a survival mode in 2025, with the U.S. and China pursuing different policies.
The International Monetary Fund is downgrading its forecast for the global economy in 2025. At its spring meeting with the World Bank, the IMF predicted global growth of 2.8% this year, down from the earlier forecast of 3.3%. In particular, the US will be hit, with the fund warning of a, quote, major negative shock to growth, pointing the finger at the Trump administration's.
$1 trillion, that's what China is reporting as its trade surplus tonight with the United States. That is a first that it's ever been so big. It tops anything before Trump's massive trade war and his promises to make China pay for it.
I put a 100% tariff on China.
China's paying us a tremendous tariff.
China's going to be paying a lot of tariffs. China is eating the tariffs right now. Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff.
Now, despite Trump's threats and the tariffs, of course, China, by that surplus, obviously, is so far doing okay, shifting its goods basically to other locales.
The crypto trade will not deliver the anticipated global economic gains in 2025. Specific individuals will benefit immensely, but many people will lose their investments.
Investors in Bitcoin are reeling as the cryptocurrency's value dropped by hundreds of billions of dollars in recent weeks. The sell-off is part of a broader wipeout of more than $1 trillion across major digital assets.
It's been a wild month for crypto, Girish. We've seen $1 trillion wiped off the global market cap map, and Bitcoin has fallen roughly between 25 and 30% from its all-time high.
First half of this year alone, President Trump's family has raked in more than $800 million from sales of crypto assets. This on top of potentially billions more in unrealized on-paper gains. Now, much of this cash has been coming in from foreign sources, which doesn't come as a surprise when we factor in Trump's two eldest sons basically trotting around the world pitching their family's crypto business, World Liberty Financial, to investors.
There will be weather disturbances in different parts of the world in 2025, characterized by extreme heat, storms, floods, and other natural disasters, which will cause food shortages in some countries.
Across vast areas of Southeast Asia, the true scale of a major flooding disaster is becoming clearer. More than 1,000 people have been killed, and a desperate hunt for food, water, and survivors is ramping up.
To Afghanistan now, where rescuers are struggling to reach villages in remote mountainous areas after a powerful earthquake. The United Nations says at least 800 people have been killed and entire villages have been destroyed. An estimated 2,000 people have been injured, according to the UN's humanitarian agency.
Wind speeds are picking back up across Southern California following a weekend of calmer conditions that did allow crews to fight the wildfires that are still just raging in that area. The Palisades fire and the Eaton fire, the two largest wildfires in the area, are only 13% and 33% contained respectively. In all, at least 24 people have died, more than 24 people are still missing, and more than 40,000 acres have burned.
There will be technological breakthroughs and inventions in 2025.
It's here, the first humanoid robot housekeeper.
Thank you, Neo.
For $20,000, you can pre-order 1X's Neo robot now, with delivery in 2026.
I think you missed a tiny spot over here.
Just one little catch. There may be a human behind the curtain, pulling the robot's strings.
The political division and policy differences between the left and the right will get more significant in the US in 2025, with conspiracy theories, investigations, and controversial laws taking center stage. But the purpose of God will prevail.
Let's start in the US, where the government has shut down for the first time in almost 7 years after lawmakers failed to pass a last-ditch funding plan. This means that many non-essential government services will grind to a halt.
Former FBI Director James Comey is now the first senior government official to face charges in one of President Trump's biggest grievances, the 2016 Russia investigation. Comey is charged with giving a false statement and obstruction of a congressional proceeding relating to the testimony he gave before the Senate Judiciary Committee 5 years ago. This indictment comes just days after the president publicly demanded it.
A federal grand jury has indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James on 2 fraud-related charges. The indictment, returned in the Eastern District of Virginia, accuses James of 1 count of bank fraud and 1 count of false statements to a financial institution.
Now, as we mentioned, President Trump signing an executive order tonight that attempts to end birthright citizenship in the United States. That right is guaranteed by the Constitution. The 14th Amendment states anyone born in the United States is an American citizen, but President Trump wants to exclude children born to parents who entered this country illegally.
The competitors and adversaries of the U.S. will try to combine forces in 2025 to undermine the nation's influence, but this venture will have little impact.
United against Trump, leaders from some of the world's largest powers right now joining forces to take on the White House. And the images are striking. Russia's Vladimir Putin shaking hands and laughing with Chinese President Xi Jinping and India's Prime Minister Modi. At one point, even holding hands with Modi. The show of unity in China clearly designed to send a message to Trump and what she calls his, quote, bullying practices. The trio is notably about to be joined by another U.S. adversary, North Korea's Kim Jong-un. This is a picture of him in his bulletproof train reportedly just now crossing into China.
Many European nations will experience fiscal and economic challenges in 2025, with modest gains in some countries which will stand out economically.
The future of the new government is uncertain, and both Prime Minister and President have bowed to opposition pressure, suspending Emmanuel Macron's flagship reform project. How weakened is this president, and what does this mean for Europe? Once a driving force of the EU, France now finds itself deeply divided and in crisis mode, soaring national debt, high unemployment and mounting social unrest. The political class shows little appetite for compromise, while the far right, led by Marine Le Pen, continues to gain ground. We ask, France in crisis, is all of Europe at risk?
Some African and Asian countries will do well economically in 2025, but the citizens will barely feel the impact due to the high cost of living. These nations include South Africa, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Nigeria, Egypt, Taiwan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, China, India, South Korea, Singapore, Philippines, and others.
And in China's economic recovery, its GDP grew by 5.3% in the second quarter, better than expected.
On to West Africa now. The economy of Nigeria is about 30% larger than previously estimated. That comes after statistics authorities rebased the economy. Effectively, they changed the way they calculate gross domestic product and incorporated new sectors into their calculations.
A recent report, the International Monetary Fund highlighted the top 10 African countries with the highest gross domestic product, the GDP, in 2025. According to the fund's statistics, Egypt ranks first in Africa for the GDP in 2025, securing the top position on the continent.
Nearly 7,000 millionaires moved to Dubai last year as the world's richest look to escape rising regulation, taxes, and political noise in hubs like Switzerland and the UK. That is according to the latest Henley Wealth Report, which recently ranked the UAE as the world's #1 destination for migrating millionaires.
Ratings giant S&P Global just upgraded the country's economic growth outlook to become the second fastest growing economy in the Asia-Pacific after India and alongside Vietnam. In a new report, S&P raised its Philippine GDP forecast to 5.9% for this year.
The growing economic and social discontent and restlessness among the electorates of various countries worldwide in 2025 will signify the end of moderate or centrist politics. The political pendulum will swing widely to the extreme right and left in different countries, providing insufficient answers to the needs of the people.
Nepal has been upended by a youthquake. Violent street protests led by Gen Z sending the very seat of government up in flames and ending a prime ministership.
This government does not care about us. It's time for us to get on the streets, wear our masks, wear our helmets, and come down on the street and challenge the government because I feel like they're taking us for granted at this point.
Unhappy and frustrated with their government, young Moroccans took to the streets of at least 11 cities across the country. Their anger is driven by years of neglect in public services. They are demanding urgent reforms in the education and health sectors.
Thousands of young people in Madagascar have poured onto the streets of the capital to protest electricity and water outages. Inspired by Gen Z protests in Kenya, Nepal and Peru, demonstrators blame the government of President Rajoelina for not improving conditions since he was re-elected in 2023.
Let us pray against the sudden death of some prominent global personalities in 2025.
In St. Peter's Square and now, Lewis, this morning, this news that Pope Francis has died at the age of 88.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84. His family just released a statement saying Richard B. Cheney, the 46th Vice President of the United States, died last night, November 3rd, 2025.
Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile has passed away. The renowned politician was 101 years old. His daughter, Katrina Ponce Enrile, announced the news, saying her father died today at 4:21 p.m., surrounded by family and in the comfort of their home.
We're following breaking news. The Los Angeles Mayor's Office and the California Governor's Office both confirm
Actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle have died in a, quote, tragic event.
After a prominent right-wing activist, Charlie Kirk, was shot dead while addressing students on a campus in Utah. Video footage showed Mr. Kirk, a close ally of Donald Trump, speaking and then slumping down in his seat.
2025, we bring in accelerated multiplication in all facets of life for those who believe in God.